hey, it's been a great year. It's cooling down now and rattlesnake activity is starting to tail off. But this year we visited thousands of homes to remove rattlesnakes and install rattlesnake fencing. So while it's true that snakes are going to be largely inactive for the next couple of months here, there's a couple of things that you should know about why it's probably the best time to think about rattlesnake prevention. So if you're watching this, you probably had a rattlesnake in your yard this year, or the neighbors did, or for whatever reason, you're trying to keep rattlesnakes out of your yard. So why would you want to wait until another rattlesnake shows up to do that? You're doing preventative action here. That's what snake fencing is. So doing it when snakes are inactive is really the best time to do it. You're doing it to prevent a future thing, not as a response to the inevitable rattlesnake visit you'd have in the future. That's why we're talking about this. There's also a lot of other advantages that you get in the winter that aren't really the case during the summer. So let's get into those. So the first reason that you'd want to do rattlesnake fencing in the winter instead of in the summer is pricing. During the winter, because of supply and demand, you're going to get the best price. Sometimes there's big discounts. Sometimes we're just looking at our schedule and saying, hey, we got to fill a couple of slots this week before someone goes on vacation. So let's just throw out a big discount and see who bites on that. So for the most part, we don't do a lot of discounts during the rest of the year. Mostly that's just because we don't really need to do it. Demand is very high for what we do. And when snakes are moving, our phone is ringing off the hook. There's just not a lot of incentive or reason for us to offer big discounts. But in the winter, it's a whole different ballgame. So between November and throughout the holidays and January and February, these are times that people aren't really worried about rattlesnakes or thinking about it. But you can get big discounts during that time just because we're just trying to keep our guys busy during that time. So winter is absolutely the best time to get the cheapest snake fencing you possibly can. Another reason you'd want to do snake fencing in the winter instead of in the summer are the wait times. So if it's April and everybody's calling us because they just had a snake in their yard or it's top of mind, then yeah, there is a bit of a wait time there to get someone out to install snake fencing because everybody's trying to do the same thing. But in November and December, those slower months, not so much. It's not what people are thinking about. They're more worried about who's coming into town for the holidays and how to keep them happy, right? So in the winter, you can expect pretty much, if you say yes to an estimate for a snake fencing job and say that you want to have it done very quickly, you can probably have it done in the same week, if even having someone out there on the same day isn't possible. So wait times are always going to be less in the winter than they are in the summer. Another reason why you'd want to have snake fencing done in the winter instead of in the summer is probably the biggest one, is that this is a proactive, preventative measure. It's not something that you need to wait until something happens before you do. Doing the snake relocation line and talking to a lot of people, we're often in the really unfortunate circumstance of talking to people that are calling us because their dog was bitten by a rattlesnake or they had a really scary encounter with a rattlesnake, you know, once sleeping on their shoes on the patio or something like that, something that they don't want to repeat again. So since this is a preventative thing, then you're doing it well in advance of that. It's not the kind of thing that you want to wait until you have another encounter for. So a fact is that if you had a rattlesnake in your yard this year and you want to prevent that from happening again in the future, then now is the perfect time to be thinking about that. I know it's easy to put off just because there's a lot of other priorities and the holidays are coming up here, but if you wait until spring for all these kinds of preventative things, then you're really increasing the likelihoods of just having a repeat event. So think about that. That time you had a rattlesnake in your yard, something scary happened, something potentially dangerous happened. Why would you want to wait for that to happen again when you can say, right now, I'm just going to make sure that doesn't happen? Another great reason to have snake fencing installed in the winter instead of the warmer months is that you have all of our attention. So if it's April or May and the phone is ringing off the hook, you know, we are there as much as we possibly can be. We're going to answer the phone 24 hours a day and we love all of it. But if you do it in the winter, you're probably the only person we're talking to that day, maybe a couple of people, and we like to spend a little bit more time doing that. Also, our installers are not trying to beat the heat. Most of the year, they're trying to get a job done starting right at sunup so they can be out of there before the temperatures get lethal later in the day. These mild temperatures mean that we can spend more time there and your installation job gets done faster in terms of days and hours it is to complete, just because our guys can be there longer in the day. So it's not that we don't care about things the rest of the year, but during the winter, we do have a lot more opportunity to stay and answer your questions and just give you a lot more attention that way. So if just wanting to know more about snakes and having someone there for you is one of the reasons why you'd want to make sure that to have snake fencing installed, the winter is when we have really a better opportunity to do that. One more reason to do it in the winter instead of the summer is if you're at a house that has construction nearby. If you are in a place and you just saw a bunch of bulldozers show up and they're leveling the ground on the adjacent property, or if you just saw some state land go up for sale and it's going to be turning into a neighborhood soon, you don't want to wait. Rattlesnakes that are disturbed by a bulldozer or pushed out of their habitat, the rules are off. They're going to be moving around regardless of what their natural behavior is. So just because it's wintertime doesn't mean that snakes can't be moving. So if you have people coming into town or family for the holidays and they're actively building across the street from you, you should be thinking about rattlesnake prevention even now. So why not do it now and take care of what you're worried about and get all those other nice benefits like lower wait times and better pricing. And the biggest reason to install snake fencing during the winter instead of in the summer months is probably the most important. Those are your family and your pets, people that might be visiting you. The reason that you'd want to protect your property from snakes to begin with. So if you've had rattlesnakes in the past or you're worried about getting one, don't wait until something bad happens to get it done. We're always in the unfortunate situation of talking to somebody that's calling us to get preventative action done because something just happened. Their dog was bitten or they had a scary encounter in their backyard. It's a preventative action, so it's not something that you need to wait until something bad happens to do. So take advantage of the best pricing and wait times and all the other benefits of this. And if you know that snake fencing is on your list of things to do, the winter is absolutely the best time to do it.